He called me a gold digger for wanting a shared life, so I gave him what he feared most. I walked away from his wealth, his control, and the future he tried to trap me in. I, 34F, have been with my boyfriend, 34M, for about 2 years. Everything is going well, and we love each other. We've been discussing marriage, and he mentioned he would not marry me without a prenup. We discussed this in detail, and I did not like what he proposed. His family owns a lot of property, land, and has lots of savings. After marriage, he wants me to move into one of the houses his parents own. I told him I am uncomfortable building a life and a family in a house I have no ownership in, and he didn't understand. I told him I'd prefer to rent a place together, or we can live temporarily in one of his parents' houses and look at property together, but he refused. He said he liked the houses his parents and he already owned. He said he would not buy other property. He said he would not sell any of his property to buy one with me. He told me if I wanted to own property, I could save up money by living in one of these properties and invest in one myself. Problem is, he would be entitled to half if we divorce since my purchase would happen after marriage. He told me I could pay his parents rent if I feel like I don't belong on the property. He told me I could buy half of the house we live in from his parents. Problem is, I don't like the houses that him or his parents own. They also have a lot of stuff, and I feel like there's no space for me. I want to look at houses, I want to pick the place I live in, and I want to do it with my partner. I've made this clear to him over and over, but he won't budge. He earns more than me, and he has more assets than me for sure. He made it clear he was afraid I was a gold digger, and he wants to protect himself and his family's assets from me, which I can understand. This whole thing has made me feel very weird. This topic has come up before, and it has always made me feel very small. It makes me feel like all he cares about are his assets. It makes me feel like he wants me as long as I fit into the life he already built, and doesn't care to build one with me. It makes me feel like a gold digger. He has enough money to retire right now and live comfortably. I don't. He basically told me that whatever money he earns now, he can spend, so he won't be investing in too much anymore. He expects our earnings and our savings after marriage to be split. Which I feel off about. I'm sure this is normal for some people. I'm sure other people would be happy to be with someone who was well off. I am not. I want someone beside me building a life with me, not someone who has built a life with his parents and wants me as long as I behave and fits into his life, which is how he's been making me feel. So I'm leaving him. I welcome opinions on this. But yeah, it's been too long that this has made me feel off about our relationship. I'm protecting my peace and leaving him with all his houses and money. TLDR, BF and I are talking about marriage. Boyfriend and his family are well off. He wants me to live in a house I don't own, doesn't want to look at houses with me. Wants half of post-prenup assets. So I'm leaving Victory Hand relevant comments. OP adds context to the prenup talk during their relationship. No. He mentioned prenup very early, and I would keep asking him about the details, but he would keep it very vague, and assure me we would work it out when the time came. I never asked him about his assets, and I never actually knew how much assets his family had. The only things I knew were from some of his one-off comments about certain assets, if he mentioned this tenant or that tenant, or this thing they have to repair, etc., etc. I had also initiated these conversations. He mentioned wanting to live with me and work towards marriage. I figured then that time had come. This is when I sat him down and asked him what he expected from me, what he wanted, and to clarify the conditions of any prenups he wanted to propose. He still tried to dodge my inquiry. It took so long for me to pull this information out of him. I guess I did wait 2 years, but marriage talk seemed like the right time to push him to discuss it. Update, so many things have happened. This is a bit of a rant, and I know I'm missing parts, but I'll try to cover the important bits. Before I start, here's some important context. I have a stable and rewarding career, and though I don't earn as much as him, I am very happy with what I can afford. My parents have always taught me that women should be independent, and I've taken that to heart. I live below my means, which has allowed me to put aside money for savings and investments. A lot of comments have mentioned that I should take the free rent, and that it would somehow set me forward in life, but for me, giving up my sense of autonomy and control over my home, my safe space, is not worth the potential. Savings. I lived with my parents and saved aggressively until I was 30, so I am lucky enough to be in a position where I can comfortably afford rent or a mortgage by myself. Plus, he expected the living situation to be permanent. I would not move into a house owned by someone else just to save on rent. Would it be nice to save $2,000 a month? Sure. But most people pay rent, and I am not an exception. If I really wanted that, I could move back in with my parents. But again, autonomy is very important to me. Also, if he's this stubborn now, I don't see how the situation could be improved later after I already moved in. I could also counter the prenup and make it so all my accumulated assets stay mine, or put in a clause that I'll be compensated for any children we have, or put that I'd get alimony or at least have a roof over my head in case we divorce. But for me, that feels overly transactional. It also gives me the vibes that I'm going to be living with a roommate who I sleep with and might have babies with, not a partner. I prefer to feel like we're in it together. He can keep what was his, but I want to build up what is ours. Also, if everything is completely split, it'll open up a new can of worms. How will our expenses be split if I'm working and he's just chilling? What happens when we have children? He has money saved for them, but will I get a say in how we spend that money? I know these can be worked out, but this is not the type of marriage I want. I can't predict everything that will happen, and I don't think I can capture it in a contract. And it's already been so heartbreaking for me, I don't want to go through more. Anyways, yada yada yada, I'll just say that it felt like I was being stripped of my autonomy, stonewalled, and treated like a hostel. Okay, onto updates. So, I told him I needed to end this relationship. I appreciated and truly enjoyed my time with him, but our financial values and the preferred married lifestyle just don't match. It was a quick and easy conversation TBH. I expected the breakup to be a bit of a process, not a one-and-done thing, since our lives overlap a lot. I'm also in contact with a lot of his family, so OFC, during this whole time, a lot of them got involved, but blah blah. Not super relevant to updates. Talk with his parents, okay. I love his parents. I had a great relationship with them. I would go over to their house, we would have food, chat, watch TV, sometimes I would go to the parties they host without my ex if he was busy. A few days after my talk with my ex, I went over to say goodbye. I didn't know if the prenup was family enforced or not, so I kept it very general and mainly focused on how the situation made me feel and what I was looking for in a relationship. His parents were shocked Pikachu face when I told them why I was leaving. I'm going to bullet point the rest. His parents really want grandbabies. However, ex's younger brother and SIL do not want kids. They were so happy when I came into their lives and she found out I wanted kids. His parents had created their wealth together, with his dad being the major breadwinner for most of the relationship. His mom was shocked at what he was offering me, saying these aren't the values he was raised with. She had been effectively retired since almost 15 years ago, and she said ex's dad never made her feel uncomfortable because of the difference in earning potential. They told me that they built their assets for themselves and their children. They said that includes whoever their children decided to share their lives with. They have many properties. However, they also have enough investments that they can live off of those. They told me their plan was to sign over a house of our choosing as a wedding gift, or sell a house and give us cash so we could buy a house we both wanted. As they got older, they planned to evenly divide their properties between my ex and his brother, since they wouldn't want to manage the properties anymore, and live off investments. Ex's mom said she would have made sure my name was on my ex's portion, especially since we were wanting kids. They mentioned investments will go directly into funds for grandkids after their passing. Maybe this is what my ex was referring to when he said his children would be set. Bit morbid though. Ex's mom told me that the mother of her grandbabies would be taken care of, and she wanted us to be on equal footing while raising a family. TBH, this conversation was kind of like a weight off my chest. I always loved his family and never felt excluded, but the prenup talks left me confused and hurt. What they said fit with what I knew from my ex and them before. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start imagining this life. I talked to my ex again. I'll bullet point this too. Basically, he told me, his dad had joked before about how he hoped him and his brother would not find gold diggers, and that's where that comment came from. He felt responsibility to protect his parents' assets, since he didn't feel entitled to them, so by extension, I wasn't entitled either. In his culture, sons carry on the family line, so he felt he had to keep his assets in the family line, which I'm not part of, but any sons we had would be. Most of the assets he's worried about are under his parents' name, and he had never asked for their opinion on what to do. He just did what he thought he should be. He also said he isn't that well off, and that his assets shouldn't come between us? This is still confusing to me. Isn't this whole thing because he was well off, and wanted to hold on to what he had and not create a shared lifestyle? I think maybe he meant he didn't own much, and most things actually were under his parents' name. He felt he was punching above his weight with me, and was scared I would leave him. He was afraid I was with him because of his finances, since that was the only thing he had more of, whereas he said I am intelligent, hard-working, beautiful. Blah blah. He was scared about moving forward with the relationship, but instead of communicating, he became defensive. To me, it seems like he said and did things because he was feeling deeply insecure. He had made a couple passing comments before about me being more beautiful than him, or how I'm more hardworking etc., but I had always taken them as compliments, not self-deprecating comments towards himself. He's such a caring, funny, and intelligent person, just in a different way than me. Also, I know he's not as confident as he comes across, but I had no idea that his insecurities ran this deep. He also apologized over and over about how he didn't mean to make me feel like an outsider to him and his parents, and insisted that he wanted to share a life with me. He said his insecurities and fear got the best of him, and he didn't handle it well. He had taken advantage of my patience and lashed out because he felt inadequate and scared. It broke my heart, because I think all this could have been avoided. We've been through this song and dance before many times, where he would feel some sort of way, then act out as he's processing it. Until now, I always stay through it and we move on. But it's never gone on for so long. But I guess the issues we've faced before were smaller compared to mapping out our whole lives. I've pushed him to seek individual counseling and we've attended couples counseling together, but I can't force him to sit and identify his emotions or employ the tools we were taught. The prenup conversation happened over a long period of time. He had so many chances to pump the brakes and reflect on what he was saying, and simply just listen to me. But he didn't. He then sat in front of me saying that everything he said before was not what he meant. He said he would be happy to take care of me and our future kids, we could buy a house together, or rent if I wanted to, because now he wasn't scared about creating a life together. Completely opposite to everything he had been saying. But how unsettling is it that he seemed so completely comfortable and confident in the hurtful words he previously said, and was okay with placing me in a very unequal position in the relationship. Despite me continuously trying to articulate what I wanted, and how he was making me feel, he didn't even consider my side, over months. I know I have a good deal with what his parents are offering, and I know him and I get along super well. But I'm not marrying his parents. I can't have his mom with us during every argument or life decision we take. Thinking back, I can count on one hand where we've run into issues, and he was able to address it without acting up. He's such a nice guy, but I can't be his garbage bin every time he needs to sort out his feelings. It's already worn me down. He's a grown man, he's intelligent and intuitive, he's had 2 years to learn how to communicate with me, and he's not. I honestly can't tell if what he said to me is genuine, or coming from his parents, or coming from a fear of losing me. I could give him the benefit of the doubt again, and move forward with the relationship, as I've done in the past, but I'm tired. I think this is a fixable problem, but I also have not seen any improvement since we started dating. If anything, this prolonged experience has made me feel it's gotten worse. I will not make the mistake of investing in a man because of what he could be, instead of who he is. If the last few months are a testament to how he handles stressful situations, I can only take things as they are, and assume they won't change. This whole thing has left me sour. I don't need too much, but I do expect to be treated with love and support, even during times of disagreement. I cannot just forget the feelings and words I've felt and heard over the last couple of months. I can't just unhear and unknow that he is afraid I'm a gold digger. That was just one of many comments that really hurt me. I think life will have a lot more ups and downs, and I cannot imagine what kind of difficulties we'll face if this is how we communicate, even after identifying it and working on it in therapy. For these reasons, I'm still choosing to walk away. Very diff from leaving because of prenup, but it is leaving nonetheless. And TBH, this hurts more. I know it will hurt for a while, but I pray I'll be avoiding heartache and complications in the future. Who knows? If it was meant to be, maybe we'll find our way back. For now, I've told him and his family I need space and time. I know that it seems like I'm giving up a lot, but OFC, there are things I can't put in a post. I actually wrote the above quite early. But I didn't post because it didn't feel like it was over. But now after this time, I know it is. It's been tough, and it's only been a couple months, but I'm sure I made the right call. It's tough watching everyone coupled up and having children, but it is what it is. I'm proud of myself for leaving, and I'm slowly healing. Thank you everyone for your comments and DMs. Sorry I couldn't get back to everyone. But I appreciate you all. Alright, moving on to the next story, and it says, I, 27F, think my boyfriend, 29M, booby-trapped our apartment. I found something and don't know how to bring it up. My boyfriend Alex and I have been together for 2 years, living together for less than 6 months. I would say that we have a fairly average relationship. We make each other really happy most of the time, but we do have our ups and downs. I am honestly so conflicted in writing this post because I feel a little insane even thinking about the possibility of him trying to hurt me intentionally. We've been fighting a lot lately because of conflicting work schedules. I'm currently in my intern year of residency, doing a night float month, so I'm at work from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. roughly. He works during the daytime, regular hours as a CS engineer, and we haven't spent a lot of quality time together in several weeks, because of the lack of overlap. I'm going to work just as he's getting home, and vice versa. I have never had any issues with physical abuse from him. He has raised his voice at me on more than one occasion, but he's always apologized, and it's been during very stressful times in our lives. His dad passed away last year, our dog was killed in an accident on the street shortly thereafter. Recently though, things have been happening in our apartment that makes me feel a little crazy. I've been getting hurt a lot, and Alex keeps reprimanding me that I need to be more careful and not be so clumsy, but honestly it feels like it's not me, but that things are being done / moved / placed. About 3 days ago I came home from work and was preparing something to eat in the kitchen, right after he left for work, and I was getting ready to sleep. I opened up one of our kitchen cupboards and the heavy door flew off one of the hinges and smacked me in the head. I have a huge goose egg and a giant bruise near my hairline, enough that several coworkers have asked me about what happened. I honestly think I had a very mild concussion from it, based on my symptoms this week. But here's the thing, as I tried to put the door back together, I couldn't find the hinge or 3 screws anywhere afterward. They should have been on the floor or the counter, and they weren't. This morning when I got home from work and I was getting ready to go to bed, I opened up Alex's underwear drawer to get a pair of socks to wear to bed. There were the screws, the hinge, and a screwdriver. Last week I got up in the middle of my sleep schedule to use the bathroom, and I slammed my shin into the edge of our bed. There is always enough room for me to shimmy by, but later on, when I looked at the bed and my leg, there were carpet marks like the bed had been shifted about 12 inches towards the wall, making my space smaller. I honestly feel insane even thinking about bringing this up with him, but I don't know what to do. Top comments. Commenter, judging in my 10 years with a narcissistic psycho, you're not crazy. Start writing these incidents down, take pictures, etc., and keep it all logged somewhere he doesn't have access, your phone, in case it escalates. Having proof will mean a huge difference if you end up having to go to the cops. Commenter, also taking picture records just for yourself will help you maintain your sanity. Upload them to a secure, hidden cloud account your programmer BF doesn't know about. Frankly, he sounds like a fucking psycho from what you've written here. I could never forgive someone for hurting me like that. Sure, he didn't punch you, but is it really that different? He wanted a giant heavy piece of wood to fall on your face. Commenter, there is no good reason for those hinges / screws to be in his underwear drawer. Nor for moving the bed. Something is decidedly wrong here. It's time to pay attention. 2 incidents are bad enough, you don't want to suffer another. While he's not around, take advantage. Search. Examine those things you use often for signs like these. Find anything which confirms your suspicions, bail on this relationship. Update, 9 days later. Hello all, I just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who messaged me with advice and input about my last post found here. Like the title states, I suspected my boyfriend was booby-trapping our apartment for some unknown reason and gaslighting me, and I was right. 2 days after I posted, our shower head came loose and sprung off at me / smacked me in the back of head, and due to the water pressure, I needed 8 stitches to close the wound. I texted my BF about what had happened, and that I needed to go into work for stitches. I'm a resident, and he was way too nonchalant. He asked if I had bumped it or anything to cause it coming off. I'd had enough at that point. I wasn't going to ask him about the things that were happening, I was just going to move out / on before I ended up dead. I made a plan that on Thursday I would have a friend come over as soon as Alex left the apartment, to help me pack my things and leave. I was worried about any potential cameras he may have hidden, so I flipped the breaker and turned off the power in our apartment. About 3 hours into packing up, Alex came home. In the 6 months that we've lived together, he has never once come home for lunch, so there must have been a camera planted somewhere with an external power source. He doesn't even pretend to waltz through the door, he bursts open and gets furious and asks what the fuck we are doing. Not sad, not confused, straight up angry. That was the only sign I needed. All I said was, I know about the cabinet, and the bed, and the dresser, you watching me, and my jewelry, and it's done. We're done. He responded with the standard, you're insane, you're crazy, this is insane, etc., etc. This is the point where I am thinking, am I going to end up on a Dateline NBC episode? I yelled to my friend in the next room that she needed to call the police to come supervise while we finished packing. Alex decided to take this moment to call the police and claim that I was insane and stealing things from our apartment. 2 uniformed officers rolled up within what seemed like only a minute and came upstairs. I explained that I was moving out, and there was abuse. I wasn't interested in pressing charges, but they needed to supervise and file a report for documentation. I ended up finishing packing and then spending nearly an hour down at the police station hashing everything out with the officer who arrived first. I took personal leave from work for the second half of last week and tomorrow is my first day back. I'm staying with a friend right now until I move in with another resident near our hospital in about 2 weeks. Overall, I'm really relieved to be out of the situation, but I'm generally still pretty afraid of Alex and anything he might try to do in the future. Out of an abundance of caution, I took both my iPhone, iPad, and laptop to the Apple Store and had them do hard reset/wipes just in case he had planted anything. I'm not sure how I should be feeling right now. But I'm just going to say that for anyone out there questioning whether your situation is abusive or not, go with your gut, and trust your friends and family. Moving on to the next story, and it says, AITA for implying my friends are being cheap over my wedding? Throwaway because I know my friends use Reddit. I, 38F, am marrying my fiancé, 38M, next year. I'm the last of my friends to get married, and honestly, I'd made my peace with being single and getting a dog before I met my fiancé. I am part of a group of 6 girlfriends who have all known each other since college. We've been through everything together: breakups, holidays, weddings, babies, promotions. When I told them I got engaged, they seemed happy and sent me congratulations messages, but when everyone else got engaged, they threw them parties or went out for dinner to celebrate. They didn't in my case. I gave them nearly a year's notice on my bachelorette party, which I'm keeping low-key as I don't want a big thing. We're going for dinner and drinks at one of my favorite restaurants in our city. However, slowly, all of my friends have been dropping out, saying they can't get a babysitter or they have to work late or they're on a work trip. I've obviously invited them all to the wedding as well, which again is a small affair, and one has already messaged the group chat saying she's not sure she can get a babysitter for that day. My wedding is months away and I'm finding it really hard to believe that she knows that far in advance. 2 others have also said they're not going to stay for the reception as they will be tired by then. Here's where I may be the asshole. The straw that broke the camel's back was when I sent the link to the registry. My finance and I already have a house together, so we're asking for mostly small things. Nothing goes beyond $50, and we're delighted with anything that anyone chooses to buy us. They sent a message into the chat saying they were going to band together to get me an air fryer as a group gift. It costs $40, so I was a bit surprised that they seemed to be chipping in about $8 each. Over the years, I must have spent thousands of dollars on their weddings, 2 of which were in overseas. I have attended dinners and brunches to celebrate their job promotions and bought gifts for their babies, all the while feeling terrible about myself watching my friends celebrate the happiness I never thought I'd get. I sent a message just asking for clarification if it was all of them buying it together, and one replied asking if I was calling them cheap, and then there has been dead silence since. That really wasn't my intention, but it really feels like because I'm last, they're just over having to do these events, and it's really feeding into my insecurity at getting married so late. But they do have legitimate reasons for these things. They all have lives and kids and maybe not as much money as when we were a bit younger, and maybe I'm just letting my insecurities get in the way. Relevant comments. Commenter, NTA, these people aren't your friends. Find a new friend group. Oh, and they are cheap. Commenter, yeah. These people do not like op. She is not picking up on it for some reason. Commenter, OP seems to be what I call the leftover friend. Basically that one awkward person that has been in your group forever, but isn't really anybody's friend. Aside from maybe the one girl who brought her into the group in the first place. Weddings, baby showers and birthdays are the perfect time for everyone else to be like Jerry Seinfeld with hands up. I don't want to be around her. I'm 40 years old. Can I just not go to her party? Commenter, I was willing to consider for a bit that maybe having kids made things different now from when they were all getting married. But buying an air fryer as a group gift? That's cheap. NTA. Commenter, the worst part is actually the cheapness. If you're asking for all this understanding and compromise from one friend when being singled out and given zero effort, the least thing anyone can do to make up for that is get the most awesome gift as a, sorry I didn't make the effort to come, here's something to make up for it a bit. What they've shown now is that they don't want to make an effort on her at all, and also, they don't want to spend money on her at all. I'd send this post to the group chat and then say my goodbyes, including, don't bother with the air fryer, I've had more hot air by now than I can handle in a lifetime. Commenter, your friends are not really friends in the definition. They are acquaintances. This happens quite often. People have lives and they may still remain in contact with you, but you're not their go-to. You're very generous and they have benefited from that. It reminds me of Sex and the City Season 6 Episode 9, A Woman's Right to Shoes. OP updated the next day, hi everyone, I didn't think I would have an update to give, but I wanted to repay everyone's kindness. Some people said some really lovely and helpful things. First off, I wanted to clarify a few questions that were asked. I didn't care at all what they bought us as a gift, I didn't care if they got us a gift at all, it was never about the air fryer. I really wasn't calling them cheap, I was just clarifying if it was coming from all of them. I also didn't ask if they were getting us a gift, they brought this up themselves. I couldn't put my finger on why it made me feel a bit weird. I think the word I was searching for was disrespect. Someone said an $8 gift is worse than no gift, and I think that's the heart of it. The money issue came up as well. As far as I know, all of my friends are fairly solvent. We all work in the finance field, mostly as accountants, 3 are very senior in their firms and all of their husbands have good jobs. But we never discuss money, and I know kids and the cost of living is high at the moment, so I'd never want to assume anyone's financial status, but everyone seems okay. The other issue was a lot of people asked how often we see each other, and the answer is quite regularly. We made a pact years ago to meet up at least once a month no matter how crazy life gets, and we've mostly been able to stick to that. The 6 of us usually meet for Sunday brunch. Apart from that, I live in the same neighborhood as 2 of them, so we do dinner occasionally and parties for their kids etc. are a must. The last question was my wedding isn't child-free and is in our city. I love kids and my friends' kids are surrogate nieces and nephews to me and they are all invited. The friend who said she couldn't find childcare said she didn't want to bring her kids because she said weddings are easier without them. Lastly, some suggested they don't like my fiancé. They've never given me that impression, everyone seems to get on well enough, they've known him for 2 years and he occasionally goes golfing with some of their husbands. Now on to the update. Reading the comments was like having cold water thrown over me. I've never considered myself the outsider friend, but a lot of people suggested that I was and it really threw me and I got really overwhelmed. I didn't send any message to the group chat, even though lots of commenters gave me really good suggestions about what to write, and I withdrew into myself until my fiancé prized it out of me what was wrong. I showed him this post and he got super quiet and really, really angry. I've never seen him this angry over anything ever. He asked if I had spoken to them about this and I said no. He started to call them individually and read them the riot act. He called them $8 assholes and said he would be sending them an itemized list of the thousands of dollars I'd spent on them over the years. He called bullshit on the one who said she couldn't get a babysitter and she indeed said she was sick of having to go to the same boring wedding over and over and yours won't be any different, and he lost it at her. I hate the idea of him fighting my battles for me, so I asked him to stop after the 3rd person. I sent a message into the group chat asking if we could all speak as a group and the 3 he called sent voice messages saying that my fiancé was a psycho and that they wouldn't speak to me anymore. I just felt really tired and defeated, so I sent a message saying that if they didn't want to be friends anymore that was fine and to consider their invitations withdrawn to the bachelorette and wedding. No one has replied, so I guess we're done. I suppose I'm better off, but I don't feel that way. I just feel numb and sad. They've been such a big part of my life for so long and I really feel the loss and I'm so sad I won't see their kids anymore. Some of them refer to me as auntie and it's making me cry that I won't see them grow up. My fiancé has apologized for rushing in and for not asking me how I wanted to handle it, and I've accepted. We're good and I am looking forward to our life together. I mostly wanted to say thank you to the kind Redditors who showed me the light about this and offered congratulations on our wedding and even offered to buy us a gift. I've never watched Sex and the City, but I'll watch the episode some people mentioned, it seems like I'll relate. I'll delete this post soon, I just want to put this behind me now.